Good morning. I'm Kim Montoya. I'm the founder of 2156 Events and a wellness and accountability coach based here in Southern California. I'd like to thank the team at TAME for inviting me to be part of such a great event. I love the idea behind secret sauce, behind the scenes of success, and I love the lineup of speakers that they have for you today. We are all so committed to the well-being of the people in our industry, and it is a true honor to be here today. Let's talk about you are not your job. I don't know where you are in the world or where you are in the cycle of your career. I know that here in Southern California, we are 4 months into a global pandemic and businesses are suffering. Hotels have been shut down. Small event businesses have struggled mightily for months because their clients aren't comfortable hosting events. Everyone is suffering in some way or another. And I know that also outside of our professional losses, there's so many of us that are just hurting from the loss of a lifestyle. You know, in our industry, we are so committed to the service of others that we often lose ourselves. I think that's one of the greatest risks in our business outside of the hours and the quick decision making. You know, it is not a secret that meeting planning is one of the top 5 most stressful businesses in the world, behind firefighters and other first responders, because of the intensity of the work. However, if you're here, if you're trying to make things better in your life because you are committed to this industry, it means that you care deeply about the experience of others. That is also where I live in the world. And so I want to give you the opportunity just for a moment to recognize that just because the job that you are in has changed dramatically, or the job you were in is no longer available to you, that doesn't change your ability to use that same heart, that same care of others, and the idea that you value experience. That doesn't change you. The job is a job. And my experience is much different because I didn't hit rock bottom because of a global pandemic. I am grateful for the work that I've done in the last 5 years working towards my coaching career and really understanding myself a little better, understanding my strengths, understanding my weaknesses, understanding what I care the most about, so that now when everything seems so incredibly hard, which it is still hard, I am grounded comfortably in myself. The fact that our events business lost everything for 2020 has barely shaken me. And I don't want to seem cavalier about that because I do think that the loss of business is significant and I don't want to make light of it. I simply mean that when you are grounded emotionally, when you understand the value that you bring to the world and to people outside of your occupation, you are much better prepared for things like this, and you can't be shaken as easily. That's my goal for you in this conversation, is to help you understand how easily you can get on track, how you can feel differently every morning, so that when you are looking for a new role, when you can go back to your job, you're gonna be in a better place up here. That's the important part. So I wanna share a little bit about where I came from and why I am where I am now, and why I'm so honored to have the opportunity to talk to you about resetting your habits and helping you not make the mistakes that I made in my career. And when I say in my career, I don't mean that I did something foolish. I simply mean it wasn't working for me, and I didn't see it until I was all the way at the bottom. So my story is that I was a corporate planner for 20 years before I started my own company, and I loved the work. I loved what I did. I loved the people. I loved the experiences. I loved the hustle. I was also a wife and a mom, and I had taken this last corporate role because on paper it was exactly what I was supposed to do. It was huge budgets, beautiful programs, international travel, all of the things that I was supposed to want in this field. And I was doing the work and I was thriving and I was loving it when it was working. But the challenge is that even when things are working on the surface, you could be not so well inside. And so in the role that I had, between March and June, we operated all of our programs, 80% of them. And it was crunch time. And anyone who's been in this business for very long knows that there is a really significant cadence to crunch time that we all accept and we just do the work. And that's exactly what was happening. But I was in between those programs, somewhere between March and June, and it was around 2 a.m. and I was getting ready to leave the office. I was going to go home, get some rest, go home and get in bed so that I could get my kids up the next morning, take them to school, and come back to the office. And it was around 2 a.m. and I'm standing at the top of the stairs and I'm looking at them and I'm contemplating whether I could throw myself down them feet first, or if I could do a shoulder roll, and how could I hurt myself enough that I would be so injured I couldn't travel on a trip that I needed to leave on, but I wouldn't be mortally wounded. And I laugh about it now because it seems ridiculous. It's ridiculous. On paper, I had everything I wanted. My children were healthy, thriving, darling. I have a husband that I love. We had a home and the cars and the salaries and the health insurance and whatever it was on paper that I felt like I was supposed to have to be successful. And I was contemplating how I could throw myself down the stairs in a way that wouldn't break my neck and impact me long term, but it would get me out of this trip. And it never occurred to me, not once, that I could go to someone and say, I need a break. This is too hard. This is too much work for one person. I need some assistance. I can't make that trip. It absolutely never occurred to me. And I didn't throw myself down the stairs, but it was a wake-up call for me to understand that something needed to change. And every day since then, I've been working on that change. I left that job. I got a different job where I didn't travel as much. I didn't love that. And I founded my own company. And through that work, I've learned what matters to me. And I think in this time in the world, you have an opportunity, because of the forced slowdown, unfortunately, to reassess where your values are, to understand what matters the most to you. For me, my family matters the most to me. The other thing that I had to identify, and this is a whole other topic, but I needed to know who I was. I'm an Enneagram 8, so that means I don't have to be in control, but I do not want to be controlled. I never understood that before, and so running my own business is perfect in that way. I want to have input. I want to be part of a team. I want to be able to think big, but I needed some space to get to that. And you have that space right now. The things that I want to share with you are really simple habits that have changed the way that I look at everything, the way that I approach life, the way that I parent my children, the way that I approach my husband in conversations, the way I run my business. And in this time where you could potentially just be lost because you've been furloughed, because your job is no longer available to you, because you've gone from live events to 100% virtual events and you don't like that, there's an opportunity to find yourself right now. And I think that is the most important work we can do. Very Best You is an Instagram handle that I established a few years ago on the premise of what would the very best version of me do in this situation? And you can apply that language to anything that you are doing. If you are Having an argument with a friend about whether or not to wear a mask? Think about what the very best version of yourself would say in that situation. That is where my journey to coaching and wellness sort of came around, because I started thinking of things in the light of what would the best version of myself do here? How do I get to be the best version of myself? And these are the things that I learned. You have to ground yourself in routines and habits. And when I say that, I wish so strongly that I had known all of these things when I was doing corporate work. I loved that work and it was very lucrative. However, I was not grounded. I didn't understand what I needed to be successful inside every day. And so I was giving everything I had to the work and giving nothing back to myself. So all I was doing was showing up as half a person. I don't want that for you. Ground yourself in some really solid habits. Get up earlier than when someone needs you. That's been a really strong rule of thumb. If your family wakes up at 7 a.m., you get up at 6 a.m. Give yourself some time to own your day, however that works for you. Whether you need to do meditation, a Bible study, you want to journal, you want to read a trashy novel, you want to walk your dog, or you want to drink 9 cups of coffee. If you don't have a family in your home and you have a boss that wants to talk at 7:30 every morning, give yourself an hour before that happens so that you are in control of how you feel that day. How are you going to show up as the best version of yourself? The best way to make that happen is to make sure you have time to address your needs before someone else needs you. In person, via email, on the telephone, you need that time to yourself to really understand what your needs are for the day so you can show up well. Number 1, give yourself the time to understand what you need. My morning routine, and you could do this in the evening. I started this in the evenings. Mornings, gratitude. I name 5 things every day that I am thankful for. Some mornings that is much easier than others, but you are looking at the 24 hours behind you. What about the world are you thankful for this morning? It could be that your timer went off and coffee was made by the time you got to the kitchen. It could be the sound of birds chirping outside your window. It could be the great conversation you had yesterday on the phone with your sister. It could be a beautiful weekend at the beach. You get to pick what you're thankful for, but the more you focus on those items in your life, the more you will see them throughout your day. You know, a lot of people right now are doing everything on Zoom and they say, I miss hugging people. I understand that. I understand that so much. I am a hugger. However, what if you said, I am so thankful that we have FaceTime? What if this had happened 20 years ago? You would never see anyone. Flip the script on the way that you're seeing things, even when they are negative, to ensure that you continue to see things differently. Get up earlier, start your day with gratitude. You can always find something to be thankful for. I think perhaps this morning, one of the things I said I was thankful for were my pajamas. They're a pair of pajama shorts that are my favorite. I am thankful. I am thankful that I have a bed to sleep in every night with a silk pillowcase. It can be shallow, it can be meaningful, it can be really, really simple. The really significant piece of that is it must be consistent. You must always be looking for what you can be thankful for. It will absolutely change the way that you look at the world and the way that you approach your days. Again, I do it in the morning. You could do this in the evening. In my opinion, it is a non-negotiable. You must have gratitude for what is in front of you. The third thing is movement. And this is tricky for me. I am not a health coach. When I say wellness and accountability, this is about whole person wellness. about taking care of your heart and your mind. It is not fitness. I work out every single day for 30 minutes, but some days that could simply be walking around my neighborhood. It could be soft stretching or yoga. More often than not, it's Peloton. I'm obsessed with Peloton. I move my body every day for 30 minutes because it gets me out of my own head. I am very high energy. I am very high strung, maybe. And that kind of movement just flushes that out of my system and allows me to think of what I need for the day. I work out in the mornings. Some people love the evenings. The idea of moving your body to change your mind will absolutely improve your mood. Better mood means better food choices. Again, I can't get into this. I am not a nutritionist. I am not a fitness coach. I am someone who is deeply committed to personal wellness. And that means taking care of your mind by taking care of your body, moving somehow. And if it seems daunting to you to do that 7 days a week, I understand that. This practice started for me quite some time ago, and that's a non-negotiable for me. You could start by adding 30 minutes of movement 3 days a week. Could you do yoga 3 days a week? I know you could. I just know you can. The fourth thing for me, learning. I started listening to podcasts and reading personal development books around the same time that I started Very Best You. I've always loved reading, but taking on some new material allows me to think of things from a different perspective. It lets me hear the way other people talk and move in the world. I think that the more we learn, the more we understand other people's viewpoints. And particularly in a time when things are crazy and uncomfortable, we take a lot of things personally. It feels like such an indictment of our character when someone says, "We don't need you in this role anymore." I need you to know that's not about you. That is about a decision that's at 30,000 feet above you that someone had to make to save their company. And it doesn't have anything to do with you. The more you can learn and keep your mind healthy and practice gratitude, the more you understand that all of these things, no matter how much they hurt, how frustrating, how scary, it's not about you. Perspective and shifting the ideas that you have in your own mind around why things are happening will definitely change your ability to look at things with a different lens. And I think that that's going to be important as we move out of this time in the world and start moving forward. We have to consider things differently. Knowing that normal is not going to come back, I'd like to recommend to you to just follow these simple habits. Get up a little earlier every morning to allow yourself some time to start your day before anyone in the world needs you. Practice gratitude every single day. No matter what is happening, you have something to be thankful for. Move your body. Go for a walk, stretch, do yoga, go for a run, weight train, cycle. Do whatever it takes to clear your mind. It is so much easier to lean into hard things when you feel good. Move your body to change your mind. And be open to learning from everyone. I have read some things that have nothing to do with anything I'm interested in, and I learned something from that. Listen to podcasts, read books that people recommend, read articles online. Think differently. Allow yourself to consider something you wouldn't have considered before. Keeping your mind healthy is the only way to keep your heart healthy and to maintain perspective in such a hard time. I know that you are so capable. You have so many gifts and talents outside of any role that you have filled up to this point, and you have more to give to the world. You are not your job. You are amazing, and I can't wait to see what the world brings after 2020. Thank you so much. Be well.